So the next topic is friend function. So before we learn friend function, you have to know what is a inline function, which is a inline function. So when you say inline function are all functions, member functions which are defined inside the class. In the class or inside the class are called inline functions. So till now we were talking about inline functions. So by default, member functions which are defined inside the class, they are called inline functions. So now we are going to talk about friend function. So friend function is not member of the class. Please note that, not member of the class. Yes, but can access the members of the class. So can access the members, let it be public, private or protected. Private or protected, it can access the members of the class where it is defined. Yes, using the class object. So this is an important concept, because till now we were learning that private members cannot be accessed outside the class. But now a friend function, even though it is not a member of the class, if it is defined inside a particular class, it can access all the members of the class using a class object. So that is an important point. And I'll show you examples how it performs, then you will understand it better. Yes. So the definition, how to declare a friend function. First, the syntax is, you will write the keyword friend before the function you are going to declare. So this is the keyword. You have to write the keyword called friend. But when you define it outside the class, that time you need not specify the friend keyword. So during declaration you specify the friend keyword, but when you define it outside the class, you need not specify the friend keyword. So that's the syntax. Now coming to an example, so let the class be, say, square. Clear? And in that I'm having a data member called, say, side. So this is now private. This is private. Fine. And let me have public. In that, say, I'm having a member function, say, void area. Yes. And I have a friend function which is void display, and let me pass the object of the square. So I'll tell you why it is used. So this is my class definition. So you can see the difference between this is a normal member function and this is a friend function. So this is the difference between a member function and a friend function. So what is the difference? You use the keyword called friend. Clear? So I hope you have noted this down. Now I'll show you how to define the member function and the friend function, which I right now specified outside the class. So I wrote, first I wrote area. So since area belongs to the class called square, I have to write the square class name followed by the scope resolution operator and then the function name called area, wherein I'm finding the area. Say let A be the variable which is going to hold my result. So A is equal to, as I know, the area of a square is side into side. Yes, so the result is ready, but right now I am not displaying it here. I'll tell you why. Fine. Now let me write the function display. Now display is a friend function. So as I told you, it doesn't belong to the class, so you need not use this part. This is used when a particular function belongs to the class. So this is a belongs to class. But now since display doesn't belong to class, you will not use the class name and the scope resolution operator. Instead, you will write it as a normal function. Yes. So here I am writing C out S dot. Okay. Fine. So fine. Let it be. Okay, so in the class, I'll just, okay, S dot side. Fine. So here I will display area because area I didn't declare it in the, fine. So this is how the member function is going to be written. So I'm going to display the side. So here you can see what is the difference. Side is a private member. It's a private member. Still you can use it outside the class using the object of the class called S. So that is the difference between a member function and a friend function. In the member function, when you define it outside the class, you have to use the class name followed by the scope resolution operator. Whereas when you define a friend function outside the class, you need not use it. Okay. So that is the difference between the both functions. Now I'll show you. So please, I hope you all have noted this down, the differences. See, display is a friend function. You need not specify the keyword here. You just have to specify the keyword friend when you are declaring it. So now you have written the definition over here, and they're using in the definition inside that you are using a side which is a private member, accessing using the object of the square S. So I hope you have understood that. And now I'll show you how to call a friend function and a member function inside the main. So that is another difference. So int main, yes, and suppose I am creating a object for square, fine. So if I call object dot, say I call object dot side. Side is a member function which is private. This is going to drop an error. This is going to be an error because side is private. Yes. So that was a difference between the friend function and a normal other functions. So okay. So you cannot call a private data member outside the class. This is going to drop an error. Fine. Now how will you call a member function? Using the object. So my member function is object dot area. Fine. So my member function is going to be object dot area, and you will call a member function like this. But if you are calling the member function, you are calling a friend function, that is display, you are going to call it like this without the object. So you won't use the object while display the member function. So you will not call the display function not using the object. So this is the difference between a member function and a friend function. Yes. So what is the difference we found here? When you're calling a member function, you need an object using a dot operator. Whereas when you're calling a friend function, you can directly call it as a normal function. So what is the difference between a friend function? It can access the private members of the class even though it doesn't belong to the class. So normally it is used when one class member wants to access the members of another class. So that is the main application of a friend function. You can also have a friend class. Okay, so I'll write the example as a whole here, which I wrote bits by bits. So I specified a class called square, right? I specified a class called square, and I have a private member, say side. Okay, and let me have one for the area A. Fine. And I have a public member. Okay, let me have a default constructor wherein side is equal to 0 and A is equal to 0. You can use that, or you can use the default constructor to just initialize the result. So A is equal to 0. And I will have a parameterized constructor, say int x, which is going to give side a value. You can use it like this. I'm just showing you an example of a previous session. This is a default constructor and this is a parameterized constructor. Fine. And then I have the member function called void area. Okay. And if I define it inside the class itself, it will be something like this. A is equal to side into side. Fine. And I'm calling the display function. Okay. Or fine, let it be. I'm not calling a display function right now. Fine. Okay. So this is done. Yes. So I've found the area side into side. So this is going to be an example of a inline function. Why? Because it is defined inside the class. Now when I do so again, let me declare a friend function called display. So I'm putting everything together here now, which we did bits by bits previously. Now I'll display with passing the object called square. Fine. So when I define it outside, I will write void display square s, wherein I am displaying the area s dot A. A contains the area. So what is it? A is a private member. Still I can access it inside the friend function. Okay. Then int main. Inside in main square object. Yes, I'm writing 5. So what happens? The parameterized constructor will be called and side will get the value called. The side will get the value 5. And when I say object dot area, what happens? 5 here, 5 into 5 happens and A gets the value 25. Clear? So you can do that. And then if I say, okay, say square, I'm going to declare another function, another object called result, which is a type square, and I'm writing result equal to object. So what happens? All the state of the object obj is copied to result. So you have the copy constructor here, and here what happens in the result? A gets, it will call the default constructor. A gets initialized to 0. So this is going to call the default constructor, and this is going to call the parameterized constructor. And I'm copying the state of the object obj to the state as a result. So when I call the display function here, display result, what happens? So the state of object obj is going to be equal to the state result. That means in result A will also become equal to 25 because side was 5 in the case of obj. When I called the area functions, 5 became 5 into 5. So A got the value 25. So when I call the friend function here, it should display a 25. So this is an example of a code using friend function an inline function where the function is defined inside the class. You have a default constructor, you have a parameterized constructor. This line is going to call the parameterized constructor, give side the value 5. This is going to call the area function, giving the area value 25. The third statement is going to create another object called result, which is going to call the default constructor a is equal to 0. And then I'm copying the state of the object to this object using a copy constructor, and then I'm calling the friend function display and passing the object result. So when it comes to the friend function, what happens? Results a, the value gets copied to s dot a should give you 25. So this is how a friend function works. I hope you all have understood. So to summarize, friend, even though it is not a member of the class, it can access the private members of the class. Okay, I hope you've understood the concept.